Where did you learn your standards of deservingness? Where did you get them from? The standards that tell you what you deserve, what you're able and allowed to receive. Probably from your parents and your family, your upbringing, your school, peers, your friends, society, maybe religion. You had some education and conditioning on this. Maybe it included things like, don't ask for so much, do without, sacrifice, share, of course, be quiet, your needs and desires aren't important relative to other people's. If you ask for too much, you might hear phrases like, you pig, you greedy bastard, how unfair of you, how selfish of you, stop being so selfish. And if you're too selfish, then you might even get messaging like, oh, you have a debt to pay, you owe something to us, you have to contribute more, you have to give back, you have to pay it forward. And what we can end up with here, and what many of us have installed in us by default, is some kind of conflict between giving and receiving. It becomes a zero-sum game. It's like there's a competition. Your needs and desires as an individual versus those of other people's. And you might even come up with the mindset or the framing that receiving, especially receiving a lot, puts you in some kind of debt. One solution there, of course, is you prepay the debt. You have to earn it, right? You have to work and put in some effort to get what you receive. And so that earning can take the form of, trades and barter and doing something transactional. You work, you make money, and then you're able to receive life's bounty. Now that can associate with vibes like fairness and cooperation and mutuality and teamwork, which is not bad. It can also associate with effort and stress and anxiety and maybe even a sense of discontent, which can lead to numbness or even resentment about the whole system, about all these requirements that are placed upon you to pay back this debt that you somehow incur by asking for something, by having wants and needs. Now, there are more vibes that can go along with that too, like it can devolve into suspicion. Like there's no free lunch. You become even suspicious about being able to receive gifts from life, from other people, about being able to deserve more. You can compete with others, of course. You can worry about whether you'll receive something or not, or how hard you have to work for certain things. You can have a sense of FOMO, fear of missing out, feeling that you're falling behind. That can lead to frustration, irritation, annoyance. There's a whole host of feelings and vibes that associate with this sense that you have to earn or that you're in debt for receiving. How would you like to feel about receiving? Do you want to feel all of that, all that baggage? A lot of people do. I've been in that space myself. Let's take a look at some alternatives. How about some different vibes, like feeling lucky and fortunate, feeling appreciative and grateful, feeling a sense of fun and playfulness in life, feeling some excitement and some exhilaration about what's coming to you, about what's just showing up. How about accepting and allowing yourself to be gifted by life, by other people even? How about enjoying and delighting in these gifts? How about savoring the gifts? How about reveling and marveling at how deliciously wonderful these gifts can be? Those are alternatives, and we can choose to vibe in that space instead, vibe in the space of just being extraordinarily lucky and extraordinarily appreciative, instead of feeling that you're constantly in debt and always have to put in this effort and sacrifice and stress and anxiety to strive for and go after and pursue what you want. Instead, you can vibe with simply being in the space of joyful and appreciative receiving of it without feeling that you have to do all this extra work to earn it, and without feeling that you're somehow in debt to the world, to society at large, to other people, just for receiving. It doesn't have to be so hard to just relax and receive gifts from life, gifts from other people, without feeling you have to earn it, deserve it, pay it back. Just allow it in and receive it. Can you do that? Yes, the answer is yes, you can. You may not choose to do it, but it is a choice. I had this thrusted upon me, this realization, when I was 19 years old, and I was kind of on a streak of shoplifting and getting myself arrested. And the fourth time I got arrested was for a felony, grand theft. And I was looking at if I got convicted when I was caught red-handed, so that seemed very likely. I was looking at maybe a year or two in state prison. The previous times I got off with, community service and things, I had been convicted previously. So this was a real threat to my livelihood. And long story short, the court mistakenly processed it as a first offense. And I was shocked because they even had, references to fake names I'd given when I was arrested before. So how could it be a first offense if I have aliases already in their system? That didn't make any sense. But thank goodness for whatever it was, bad computer programming, and they processed the whole thing as if it was a first offense, and that allowed them to reduce the charges to a misdemeanor, and I got off with 60 hours of community service instead of thousands of hours potentially in jail, in state prison. So that was a real shocker to me because that was a gift I absolutely did not feel that I deserved, at least not on the objective side. What I realized, however, when I looked back on it years later, was that I was doing something very interesting vibrationally at the time because it was very stressful. It was just, something that blew out my previous reality. I also got kicked out of college at the same time, around the same time. And so my life was going down a very different path, a very dark path. And what I ultimately did, even before I got to court, is I gave up. I basically just said, I gotta fix my life. I just stopped trying to fight and struggle and rebel. And I just surrendered to what was about to happen because I didn't see any way out. And so I thought, what choice do I have? I'm going to go to prison for a while. I'm fucked. So I just accepted the nature of that. I surrendered to it. I accepted it. At least I did my best to. It was not easy. I just allowed it to be. And I thought, I'm just not going to fight with this emotionally because what's the point? I'll get through it. And I tried to be comforting on myself. I said, it's only going to be a year or two, probably less than that, realistically. And I just sort of resolved myself that I would be a better human being afterwards. I just thought, you're just going to have to do the time and it's going to suck. Absolutely. But it's a growth experience. It's a big lesson. And it's a hard lesson. And you put this on yourself. I took responsibility for it. And that was not easy. There's a lot of internal processing of it. And I just decided, look, this is the wake-up call I needed. Obviously, I deserve it. And I'm going to grow and grow up after this. And I did my best not to wallow in regret or shame or guilt or remorse or the sense of stupidity about what I'd done to my life. Yeah, that was all part of the processing. But I relatively quickly moved through that and just got to this place of resolution. Like, look, I've got to grow. And I even started getting there while I was in jail, having, shortly after getting arrested, they took me to a jail cell and I was there for 3 days for some processing, essentially. And while I was in jail, I just had nothing but time to think. And so I spent a lot of that processing going through the shame and the guilt and the regret while I was in jail for about 72 hours or so. I remember it overlapped Super Bowl Sunday, 1991, because I remember people in the jail were watching the Super Bowl from their cells. They were trying to watch this tiny television across the room to catch part of the Super Bowl. And I could hear cheers and things like that now and then. It's a funny thing to experience in jail, people watching the Super Bowl. But hey, life goes on. And that actually added a little bit of lightness to the experience. Like, there is some normalcy even in the craziness of what I was experiencing. And so by focusing on the vibes that I was experiencing, that I would experience past that event, past all the bad stuff I would have to go through, past prison time, potentially. And I focused on who I wanted to be next and what I would do when I got out. And I already started thinking about that and making plans for, I knew I was not going to be in school anymore. I was kicked out, but I really started just thinking about who I wanted to be. And that allowed me to have a very different, I think, kind of relationship with the experience. I wasn't fighting it. I wasn't resisting it. And somehow I do think there was a connection. I do sense, like very intuitively, that there was a strong connection between the vibrational work that I didn't even know I was doing at the time. I wasn't aware of what I was doing so much. If anything, I got lucky, vibrationally maybe. I got lucky in that I flowed into the right emotional processing space. And I don't know, somehow I feel like there was a connection between that and the objective events that unfolded. And life basically saying, you don't need to go to prison. You're forgiven. And I was like, like that when that landed with me, all my friends were shocked. My friends who knew me at the time, they were like, I can't believe, you got off with that. And I was like, I'm never doing that stuff again. And I really did not, I really did not go back to that space again. It was such a tremendous gift that I didn't feel at the time that I deserved, but in a way, it helped me get really excited because then I could start living my new life right then and there. And I honestly was not prepared for that yet. I was still a bit numb. I was shocked that what had happened, and it took me a while to process that. But it helped me see that there is a space for allowing support from life, for allowing forgiveness, for allowing kindness and generosity and love. And also, what comes beyond that, pleasure, fun, beauty, delight, and wonder. And even more allowing beyond that for the space of satisfaction and fulfillment, happiness and joy, relaxation, even lessons I had to learn later in life, like learning to take time off and be kind to myself, not overwork myself, having space for caring and connection and friendship and growth and insights to come through. And I found that there was a relationship I had with life that was based on earning. And even many years after those events, when I was 19 years old, based on feeling I had to earn and put so much effort into everything and make everything so difficult instead of just receiving. And I found it really powerful to decouple this sense of giving and contributing from receiving, that those can be really separate vibe spaces. And I can just receive without having to earn the receiving. And I can also just give and contribute without feeling like I need something back from it. So I found that those are related. Being able to receive freely is very attuned to being able to give freely, not giving to get, not giving to receive, not giving to earn, not giving to deserve, but just giving because you love giving, and just receiving because you love receiving, and because you enjoy it, and because you appreciate it. Even in my relationship with Rochelle, with my wife, we've worked in the past year or so on decoupling that transactional nature that can creep into different relationships. I know I've mentioned this in a previous video, but it's relevant to share it here as well. Is that instead of doing things for each other in an exchange sort of way, like, hey, I'll do this favor for you if you do this favor for me. Forget all about that. Just give out of love, give freely, and receive out of love, receive freely. No trades. So that rule in our relationship has really helped. It's really benefited things. No trades. So not I'll give you a massage if you give me a massage later. Just like, hey, I'm going to give you a massage tonight. Or, hey, would you kindly give me a massage tonight? And no debt is incurred either way. No debt or no expectation is expected when a gift is given, because the gifts are always given freely. No, there's no debt incurred. You don't have to pay it back ever. And when you receive, there's no debt incurred. Okay, you don't have to pay that back. You can give, you can receive, you can receive independently. There is a relationship between them, but it's not based on creating neediness from one side to the other. That neediness really has to go. And that's really a powerful thing to invite. And it really opens up the flow of deservingness. And then you realize you can just invite, and you can just invite so much more from life, but without feeling like you have to pay it back. Let me invite you to do some of that inviting now. So see if any of these align with you. How would you like to invite a windfall from life, an avalanche of some kind of goodness, just extra money, love, support, encouragement, great people flowing into your life? Do that right now. You can just decide that right now. Just say, I invite an avalanche of goodness, and see if you could be more specific. Lately, I've been inviting an avalanche of creative flow, an avalanche of a faster tempo. You've probably seen me speeding up my YouTubing lately, and I've been quite enjoying that. It's an avalanche on the giving side too, but it's also an avalanche on the receiving side, and that I receive more connections with people and more flow. There's a relationship between giving and receiving, but it's not one of neediness. It's when you invest in one side, you can really open up the other side too. The more you invest in receiving and allowing and letting life's goodness flow to you, I think the more it gives you this excess capacity for giving and for contributing and for teamwork and for cooperation with other people, with life, because then your needs are always going to be well met. I don't feel like I have to earn the meeting of my needs. I feel like life just gives me that. It's one of the reasons I haven't had a job in about 33 years. I haven't needed one because life just gives me what I need. It always brings me plenty of money, brings me plenty of interesting connections, interesting people, interesting growth experiences. And one of the things I've learned is that I can simply invite all that from it. Invite the windfall. Bring me all that I want and more. And it does. Wow. Is it that simple? In a way, yes. It's a bit of a growth lesson to get there, growth process to get there, like the one I had to go through when I was 19. But I encourage you to go through that growth for yourself, to test it, to try this, to just ask life, hey, please bring me a windfall, and allow it, and focus on the appreciation, the feelings of not needing it, not craving it, but receiving it and appreciating the heck out of it. That's a real key, is appreciate the heck out of it in advance. How about lovers? Do you want, a lover or lovers? I like the phrase a generous lover, or I like the phrase being a generous lover with a generous lover. So that's something you can invite into. Invite a windfall in that area of life if you like. What about good health and energy? Maybe you had a sickly upbringing, or you've had a relationship with illness or low energy, depression for much of your life. Can you invite good health? Absolutely. That's another of life's gifts. It can flow through your body. It can flow through your environment. You can invite good health and great energy. I'm in my 50s now, and I feel great. I feel like I always have abundant energy to do what I want to do. I never feel like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so fatigued, so checked out. I don't have the energy. I always have abundant energy, and it's nice. But I ask for it. So that's another thing. You can ask for good health and good energy. You can also ask for inspiration. I asked life for many years ago, just give me endless creative inspiration. And it always says yes. I've been doing a creator's journey for over 30 years now. First with computer games, and with blogging, and done audios, videos, live events, workshops, running Conscious Growth Club. It always has endless inspiration for me, always endless creativity. And I find that the more I create, the more life just keeps giving me more ideas to create with. There's no such thing as writer's block in my life. I don't even know how to experience that. I don't know how to do that because I don't ask for writer's block. I don't ask to be blocked. Why would you ask to be blocked? Ask for endless inspiration, endless creativity of the ideas that are right for you to express. It's okay to receive. That's the key message here. It's okay to receive. And one thing to realize is that you are already receiving life's unconditional love. It will let you ask for things that limit you. It will let you ask for stress and worry. It will let you ask for the experience of having to earn something so that then you can have your experience of accomplishment. But it will also allow you to skip all that if you don't want to do that. It will allow you just to go directly to receiving, go directly to unconditional love. And note that you've already been receiving that all along the way. Life is just humoring you and entertaining your different types of vibrational asks. If you want to elevate your experience with life and make it easier and more flowing and more abundant, ask for that. It's that simple.